It's 1542 local time, the 10th of October 2025. In the South China Sea, near the Paracel Islands, the USS John Finn snaps to high alert. Two hard returns bloom on radar. Fast, steady, closing. Alarms bite through the ship. Sailors sprint to stations. The bridge locks into a clipped rhythm of calls and confirmations. Outside, white spray knifes off dark water. Two Type 52D destroyers bear down at 27 knots, bows punching a clean V. Radio hails go unanswered. Running lights glare like eyes. The captain is calm. Row 1. No provocation. Record everything. This is a phone op in international waters, and every move must be clean. Above, an MH-60R Seahawk carves a circle, FLIR and laser marking, streaming every frame. Range drops 5 miles, 4, then a knife edge 2.7 nautical miles. Steel tenses. Voices go quiet. The next minute will decide whether this is a hard pass or a hard collision. The South China Sea isn't just blue on a map. It's a crowded artery tankers, cargo ships, and trawlers, threading lanes that feed factories, lights, and homes from California to Tokyo. If that flow stops, prices rise and shelves go empty. The USS John Finn sails here to prove one rule: the sea is open, not owned. For Beijing, this water means power. The plan treats these routes as a test of will, pushing close and closer, executing the familiar cut-off and shepherd maneuver to squeeze US ships off course. Every unanswered radio call is a message. Every approach at 27 knots says, "Turn away," or "Blink first." Inside John Finn, orders stay firm. ROE Level 1. Observe. Record. Don't provoke. Cameras roll. Radar ticks. And the MH-60R circles above, its sensors capturing every pass. Each frame is proof, because out here, video often wins the argument without a shot fired. Still, a near pass is a gamble. One gust, one misread bearing, and steel could scrape. That's headlines, market shaking, and calls between capitals. Shippers reroute. Allies watch. Will Washington hold firm or ease off? What seems like one maneuver can reset regional balance for months. Both sides bring muscle. The Chinese Type 52D boasts long-range sensors and missiles. John Finn, an Arleigh Burke, carries aegis, discipline, and the calm to stay predictable under pressure. Predictable means safe, sudden moves look like war. The stakes are both personal and global. A few hundred sailors holding a line for billions in trade and for the belief that rules not force keep seas open. As the distance closes again, picture yourself on that bridge. Hold course or turn away. Comment 1 to hold the line, 9 to de-escalate, and hit subscribe to follow the next move. 1546 local time. Two Chinese destroyers close in, their wakes cutting white scars across the gray water. On the USS John Finn, tension hums beneath steady voices. Range 2.9 nautical miles. No radio response. Every sensor and camera locks on. This is no drill. The MH-60R Seahawk rises to 200 feet. Its FLIR feed sharp and steady. Heat blooms from Chinese engines. Exhaust shimmer tracing the humid air. Maintain course, the captain orders. If we flinch, we lose the message. At 1552, the CNS Kunming swings port, slicing across John Finn's path, a textbook show of force. On deck, sailors track the move in silence. Fingers hover near controls, but no one breaks discipline. The Aegis radar holds steady, ready to react if even one lock tone pings. Seahawk to Finn, both destroyers accelerating again. 27 knots confirmed. The voice crackles, spray lashes the hull. For a moment, it looks like the Chinese might cross the bow. One misstep, and it's headlines before nightfall. Inside CIC, radar operators call out. Targets. Steady, constant bearing. Everyone knows the math. Constant bearing, decreasing range equals collision. Silence grips the room. The captain breathes once. Ready countermeasures. Maintain cameras. Timestamp everything. Seahawk, keep overwatch. No weapons armed, no radar locks return, just calm professionalism under pressure. 16-1. The CNS Yinchuan slides up beside Kunming, running parallel at barely 3 nautical miles. Through binoculars, Chinese sailors can be seen filming a mirror image of the Americans. Each side builds its story frame by frame. Damage control teams stand by with hatches sealed and stretchers ready, not for combat, but for the kind of accident that writes history. The engine room holds speed steady. The deck crew checks lines. Small tasks keep big ships safe. Salt spray coats the railings. Steel vibrates underfoot. A gust sweeps between the ships, yet neither wavers. Two gray hulls surge side by side across contested water, a moving standoff, balanced on a blade of restraint. 16:07 local time. The distance narrows again. The CNS Kunming and Yinchuan hold position off John Finn's bow, forming a wall of gray steel. The ocean between them boils white. Every sonar ping, every radar sweep, now carries an edge, a signal that could be misread as threat. Inside CIC, voices stay calm but fast. Range 2.5 miles. Bearing constant. The crew knows what that means. If either side keeps this track, the next swell could push them too close. One unpredictable wave, and there's no room left to turn. On the bridge, the captain keeps his tone even. No deviations. Stay the course. He glances once at the XO, then back at the radar plot glowing in amber. The order means everything. This mission isn't about speed or firepower, it's about nerve. The Seahawk banks low, capturing every second on its stabilized lens. Through the spray, the Chinese ships loom larger decks alive with crew, cameras out, flags snapping in wind. They're matching the US move for move, daring John Finn to react first. The destroyer adjusts speed by a single knot, just enough to keep distance, but not yield. In the Combat Direction Center, a petty officer mutters, "They're trying to box us in." He's right. The pattern is clear. Planned ships split their formation, pressing from both sides to limit maneuver room. A strategy designed to make the American ship blink. 1612. Unidentified signal bearing 310, the radar tech shouts. A faint blip flickers beyond the main contacts. A drone or scout plane, nobody's sure. It lingers, watching. The crew tightens posture. Every hand knows how quickly watching can turn into targeting. The air feels heavier now. Salt hangs thick, sweat clings to helmets. For the sailors, time stretches into a slow pulse, a rhythm of restraint. The camera crews in both fleets are still filming, each side waiting for the other to flinch. The John Finn steadies herself, engines humming in perfect sync. Every vibration feels deliberate, each movement rehearsed. This is control under pressure, a lesson written in steel and discipline. And as both navies shadow each other through the contested sea, the question shifts from if something happens to when. So, if you were standing on that bridge right now, would you hold your line or back off? Comment 1 to stay firm, 9 to de-escalate, and subscribe to follow what happens next. 16:18 local time. Just when it seems the standoff might settle, a new signal hits the radar low, fast, and erratic. Contact bearing 284, altitude under 300 feet. The CIC lights shift from calm blue to warning red. A small, fast-moving blip, not a ship, not a plane, a low-altitude drone, skimming the surface, slipping through the radar clutter like a ghost. Visual confirm, someone shouts from the bridge. Out past the bow, a black dot darts across the horizon, weaving between whitecaps. The Seahawk pivots instantly, sensors locking on. Single UAV, closing at 120 knots. It's flying from the direction of the Chinese formation. No if tag, no response. For the crew, every rule of engagement flashes through their minds. ROE-1 still stands, observe, record, don't provoke. But a drone this close, this low, changes everything. One wrong assumption, and it could be an unarmed recon craft or an armed loitering munition seconds from impact. Bring phalanx to stand by, the captain says quietly. The 6-barrel gun whirs to life, its sensors scanning. Do not fire unless locked. The drone passes across the bow, maybe half a mile out, maybe less. The camera tracks it small, dark, fast. For a breathless moment, the object banks turning directly toward the American destroyer. A ripple of tension runs through the ship. Then, without warning, it jerks upward, flares, and vanishes north. No explosion, no response, just gone. Silence. Only the ocean remains. No one speaks for several seconds. Then the XO exhales. They're testing reaction time. The captain nods once. And now they know it. Above, the Seahawk circles wide, hunting for more. Nothing. But every sailor feels that the calm won't last. Something new has entered the game. Something faster and harder to predict. 16:23 local time. The ocean feels electric. The air vibrates with tension like the moment before a storm breaks. The USS John Finn holds course, but the CNS Kunming shifts again, inching closer on the port side. Barely 2.3 nautical miles now. It's too close for comfort, too late for words. In CIC, the watch officer reports, new drone signature, bearing 270. Another. The Seahawk sweeps west. The screen lights up with 2, then 3 fast-moving blips. They're small, unpredictable, and closing. This time, they're coming from multiple directions. Row still. 1, the captain says, voice steady but clipped. Do not engage unless fired upon. He knows the rule and its risk. A single wrong move here could light up the entire South China Sea. The crew braces. Phalanx CIWS spins up again. Barrels whining, sensors alive. Deck crews lock harnesses. Gunners steady their aim on the horizon. From above, the Seahawk feeds video. 3 drones splitting apart, moving like wasps across the surface. Range 1 mile, the radar tech calls. A heartbeat later, the first drone banks hard toward the ship. The captain gives one sharp command. Engage! The Phalanx roars. 6,000 rounds per minute tear through the air, tracers cutting bright arcs across the sea. One target disintegrates in spray and flame. Another breaks right, skimming low. John Finn's deck gun tracks and fires, a clean burst a hit. The third drone dives, vanishes behind the swell, then erupts in a shockwave 30 yards off the bow. The blast punches through the air, rocking the destroyer. Damage report. Minor shockwave only, no casualties. The bridge shakes, then steadies. The Kunming and Yinchuan finally turn away, their radars silent. No radio call, no apology, just distance, widening by the minute. Smoke drifts over the deck. The crew exhales, but no one relaxes. They know this was no accident. The drones weren't just a test, they were a message. On the captain's screen, the last frame freezes. 3 drones destroyed. 2 Chinese destroyers withdrawing. Proof and warning, captured in one image. If you were in command at that exact moment, would you have fired sooner or held back longer? Comment 1 if you'd strike first. 9 if you'd wait it out and hit subscribe for the final outcome. 17:02 local time. The sea has gone quiet again, but not calm. Smoke drifts in low ribbons across the water. The USS John Finn holds her line. Engines steady, crew exhausted but alert. No one cheers. They've just stared down the closest thing to open conflict without crossing the line. Hours later, the footage goes encrypted and sent to command. 3 drones destroyed, 2 destroyers shadowing, and 1,000 tiny decisions made in seconds, each one keeping war a breath away. In Washington, analysts dissect every frame. In Beijing, officials call it a routine patrol. Both sides know better. On the bridge, the captain stands alone by the window. The sea outside glows orange in the dying light. He knows this wasn't the end, it was rehearsal. Each encounter pushes the boundary a little further, teaching both fleets how close they can get before someone fires for real. For the crew, the adrenaline fades, but the weight remains. They talk quietly in the mess about home, about how silence after chaos feels heavier than the noise. The ocean hums under their boots, steady but unpredictable. John Finn sails on, logging every wave, every frequency, every second of restraint. This is what deterrence looks like in the 21st century. No fireworks, no headlines, just unblinking endurance. In the broader game, the message is clear. The US proved it can stand firm without flinching. China showed it can test limits without crossing them yet. The balance holds, for now. But the next pass, the next drone, the next silence on the radio could tip everything. Allies take notes too. Tokyo, Manila, Canberra, tracking who stays steady when steel draws near. Insurers price risk, shippers sketch longer routes, Coast Guards revise playbooks. Every mile the John Finn holds is one more mile merchant traffic doesn't have to surrender tomorrow. So what do you think the next move should be? Hold the line or pull back before it breaks? Comment 1 if America should stay firm, 9 if it's time to step back, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens when the balance finally snaps. It's 8 CST on the 10th of September 2025. In the South China Sea, 180 miles from China's coast, USS Princeton suddenly picks up multiple unknown tracks. Alarms blare through the ship. Sailors slam hatches and sprint to battle stations. The CIC glows red as radar operators call bearing and range. Outside, Chinese J-15 roar past, banking low and close. A harsh tone cuts in. A Type 52D destroyer has snapped fire control radar onto USS Nimitz. On the deck, a Hawkeye spins, Super Hornet spool, a Growler checks jammers. Below, the Aegis console chirps SPY-1DV paints the sky as contacts multiply. Link 1-6 flashes with calls from escorts, each tagging threats. A rivet joint reports new emitters. Yellow shirts on Nimitz, wave jets forward. The captain's voice stays level. Weapons tight, countermeasures ready. Everyone knows this is one step from a shootout. The next minutes decide if the carrier group holds sea room or slides into a clash no one can control. In the South China Sea, the stakes go far beyond steel on the water. These lanes carry fuel, food, and raw materials that keep daily life running back home. Every day, thousands of cargo ships pass through, and their safety underwrites the global economy. USS Princeton and the carrier group are here to guard that flow, tasked with ensuring no one can shut down the sea lanes through intimidation. For the crew, it's not just another patrol, it's a test of resolve against China's push to claim control far beyond its coast. On paper, it's routine, but today the pattern is off. Fighters press low, a destroyer paints the carrier, and merchant traffic shears from the lane. If they fail, the impact is immediate. Insurance rates for shipping spike overnight. Shelves back home run thin as delays ripple across supply chains. Allies start to question if America can still secure the commons. In a region where perception equals power, losing face here is as damaging as losing a battle. That's why the fire control radar lock on Nimitz matters. It's more than a signal. It's a challenge to U.S. credibility. On one side, a U.S. carrier strike group, bristling with sensors, jets, and layered defense. On the other, China's Shandong carrier with her escorts, eager to show strength close to home. Each knows the other is watching every move. A wrong step can ignite a spiral neither side wants, but both are ready to fight. This is the reality. A clash here could redraw red lines for the entire Pacific. One wrong signal on crowded VHF can tilt caution into collision. And that's why your view matters too. If you think the US should stand firm, press 1. If you believe China's warning will force compromise, press 9. 8:12 CST. The first real contact arrives. Princeton's radar scopes bloom with fast-moving tracks. J-15 fighters cutting across the strike group's path. Their intent is clear. Press low, force mistakes, test reaction time. Controllers aboard Nimitz direct Super Hornets to intercept, but the fighters keep pushing closer, weaving between civilian ships. For the crew, every second is a calculation. Respond too slowly and you risk surprise. Too fast and you risk sparking war. The destroyer Kidd reports a sharp spike fire control radar locked again. This time, Princeton responds. The captain orders a show of readiness. Launch standard, defensive only. 2 SM, 2 arc skyward, exhaust burning white against the horizon. They're not aimed to kill, but to warn. This line will be held. Seconds later, Chung Hoon fires her own, spacing intercepts to build a wall. The message is clear, no gap, no hesitation. Overhead, an E-2D Hawkeye calls bogeys at 60 miles, 4J-15 break formation, diving toward the carrier. Growlers light their jammers, flooding the spectrum with noise to blind Chinese radars. Pilots call Fox 2 as AIM-9X missiles streak away, contrails twisting. The sky flashes as flares spit from J-15. 2 peel off, but the others press, skimming low to mock the defenses. Inside Princeton CIC, sailors lean into consoles as the SPY-1DV updates every second. Bearings shift, altitude drops, speed fluctuates. "They're probing," the watch officer mutters. The captain nods. "Hold them outside the ring. It's not about shooting first, it's about proving you won't break." At 8:19, sonar cuts through the chatter. A faint contact, possible submarine. Shallow, northeast. It surfaces briefly, a snorkel flashing before sliding back under. The group tightens formation, escorts guarding the flanks. A Virginia-class submarine, lurking unseen, rises 6 miles from China's Shandong in silent counterpoint, surfacing just enough to be noticed. The message is blunt. Every threat you reveal, we can match. Explosions flicker at the horizon as intercepts detonate. Spray kicks up from near misses. Smoke lingers in the sky. The first exchange ends with no loss, but the air crackles with the sense this is only the beginning. 8:27 CST. The sky thickens with movement. More J-15 launch from Shandong, their shadows sweeping the sea. Princeton's radar feet stack high with tracks, so dense they blur into noise. The ship turns a few degrees, tightening its profile. Every shift matters. A smaller angle means harder targeting and better defensive arcs. On the carrier, flight ops surge deck crews race to clear launches. Jets scream as afterburners ignite. Several fighters push through the missile screen, flying low and erratic. Princeton fires again, this time SM-6, designed for longer reach and faster kill. One intercepts clean, exploding near the lead jet. The others scatter, forcing the group to divide fire. Kids' guns open up, tracers ripping into the haze. Each volley buys seconds, but the pressure builds. Electronic warfare joins the fight. Growlers jam aggressively, sweeping the spectrum. For a moment, Chinese radars flicker, their lock-ons breaking, but the relief is brief. New signals appear, stronger, pulsing from the destroyer, shadowing the formation. The contest is no longer just steel and missiles, it's sensors against sensors, silence against deception. Inside Princeton CIC, the pace grows frantic. Operators juggle tracks, shouting ranges and altitudes. "Too many at once," one mutters, sweat streaking his headset. The captain steadies the room. "Trust the system. Stay on your sector. It's the only way to stop chaos from unraveling discipline." At sea level, the threat shifts. A Chinese Yuan-class submarine surfaces briefly at the edge of sonar range, then vanishes. The message is deliberate. We're here. We can strike. Princeton responds with a sharp active ping, echo rolling across the deep, a challenge as clear as any missile launch. Minutes grind on. Each intercept feels like holding a dam against floodwaters. One mistake, and the wall breaks. From the bridge, sailors glimpse flashes as jets dart overhead. Missiles split the sky, and ocean spray coats the bow. The clash is now layered air above, subs below, radars screaming across the spectrum. The balance hangs on perception. Will the U.S. crews show resolve or crack under pressure? That's the heart of this standoff. And that's why your view matters. Should the U.S. press harder, hit back first, press 1. If you think restraint avoids disaster, press 9. 8:41 CST. Just as the strike group steadies, the fight shifts. Radar screens bloom with smaller, faster tracks, low-altitude drones, dozens of them skimming just above the sea. They hug the surface, weaving through clutter, their signatures faint. These are not manned jets that can be deterred, but machines programmed to fly until impact. Princeton's crew reacts fast. SM-6 are too costly to waste, so the captain orders close-in defense. Kidd swings her guns, tracers stitching across the horizon. Princeton rolls slightly, mounts locking on. Several drones explode, but more dive forward. They don't maneuver, they simply persist. Growlers jam control links, but many drones ride GPS and inertial guidance. They won't blink or turn. Operators shout bearings, range 2 miles, closing fast. Seconds shrink the margin. On Nimitz, Super Hornets launch to thin the swarm. Pilots firing cannon bursts into the haze. Flaming wrecks splash down, but waves keep pressing. Every intercept costs fuel, ammo, and time. Princeton's helmsman carves tight S-turns to spoil attack geometry, while deck crews, stage hoses, and foam carts. Damage control teams dog hatches, bracing for shrapnel and fire. The Hawkeye vectors a growler to a fresh emitter. A rivet joint hears control burst from inland striking. Those nodes would cross a line no one wants to cross. Inside the CIC, urgency spikes. The captain calls, "Prepare CIWS." The Gatling gun thunders, a torrent of fire ripping drones apart. Wreckage rains into the sea, yet more slip through. The tactic is clear drain U.S. defenses with disposable swarms, force billion-dollar ships to burn costly shots. The twist is undeniable. This is not just a clash of ships and jets, but a war of strategy. Each drone down proves defense works, but each wave forces the question: how long can the line hold before the balance tips? 8:55 CST. The fight hits its breaking point. The drone swarm, thinned but not broken, slips inside the last defensive ring. Princeton's crew braces as alarms scream. The ship heels to starboard, shrinking its profile. Every turn buys seconds. Above, Super Hornets tangle with J-15, tracers stitching frantic arcs across the sky. "Sizz, engage!" The Gatling gun answers with a grinding buzz, a river of tungsten ripping the low clouds. Drones pop in hot bursts, fragments hissing into the sea. Kid joins, guns hammering in counterpoint. For a minute, it's pure noise and shock, steel meeting speed. One drone gets through. It dives low, wake foaming. Princeton's forward guns swing, shells burst short. The drone keeps coming seconds now. Damage. Control teams crouch, hoses and foam ready. A last CIWS burst shreds it. Wreckage slaps the waves short of the bow. A cheer rises, then cuts off. Everyone knows another wave could already be forming. At altitude, growlers blind enemy radars, while Hawkeyes call vectors. Hornets strike. One J-15 blooms into fire. Another falls trailing smoke. The rest scatter from the kill zone. For a breath, the picture steadies. Below, sonar catches a hard echo, possible torpedo transient. The Virginia-class sub-signals ready, holding Shandong at risk. Balance tightens. Carrier against carrier, fighter against fighter, sub against sub. Any misstep could flip this from standoff to shooting war. On the bridge, the captain's voice cuts through. "Hold the line. We do not break." Sailors white-knuckle rails. Discipline, not volume, keeps order. Spray lashes the bow. Crews reload. Radars sweep. Links hum. For now, the formation holds. Smoke thins. Link 1-6 settles into a clean rhythm. Nimitz cycles a fresh cap. Yellow shirts. Sprint refuels and reloads. Princeton's SPY-1D clears to fewer red tracks and wider gaps. Electronic noise fading. Off the beam, Shandong edges back behind her escorts. Angles shifting just enough to say the moment is passing for now. The message is restraint with claws. Both sides show teeth, neither crosses the line. This climax strips the conflict to its core. Layered U.S. defenses versus relentless Chinese pressure. Deterrence measured second by second. Your call. Now, if America's firepower keeps the sea open, press 1. If China's persistence will crack the line in the next round, press 9. Result: the planned group checks fire, then backs off. The destroyer drops its lock. J-15 seconds climb home. The Yuan-class slides into quiet water. Minutes later, Shandong turns downwind, recovers aircraft, and broadcasts, "Exercise completed." Princeton steadies on course. No American hull is hit. No sailor is hurt. No one celebrates. They list why they lived. Layered sensors, disciplined comms, timing, and E-2D knit the picture. Growlers shaved hostile radars. Link 1-6 kept every ship on the same beat. One shock move mattered most. A U.S. Virginia-class sub surfacing 6 miles off. Shandong right as the air fight peaked. A silent line drawn in steel. For Washington, the shield works, but the math hurts. SM 2 seconds and SM 6 seconds are finite. CIWS runs hot, fuel and focus drain together. Cheap drones force costly shots and long hours. Magazines don't refill at sea. The group held because crews moved with trust and tempo. Stretch the fight and resupply becomes the plan. For Beijing, pressure moved the board without crossing it. Exercise completed, reads mild, yet it lands in ministries from Manila to Tokyo. Each lock-on and close pass raises the bill for open sea lanes, even when no shot is fired. Allies and insurers watch the tape. Rates tick up, routes bend, planners sketch alternates through narrower straits. Deterrence holds by inches, maintained by sailors counting missiles, as carefully as pilots count minutes on station. Impact. The carrier group keeps sea room. China keeps face by leaving first. The crew logs, contacts, patches, scorched paint near the forward gun, tallies what's left in the lockers. Nimitz resumes a steady drumbeat launch. Recover, refuel. SPY-1D shows a cleaner horizon, but nobody confuses quiet with safe. Next tease. The sequel won't match the script. The next wave could come at night, under rain, doubled in size, masked by militia trawlers. It may mix drones with shore-based missiles and decoys, then GPS, jam the picture. If you think this withdrawal proves deterrence is working, press 1. If it's only a pause before the next push, press 9. Drop your number and subscribe for the next chapter.